Hello, everyone at home. We're just about to start, and I suggested that Greg, very glad to see you, and please start, Greg. Everyone's very happy when you start because your questions are very clear and helpful for everyone, especially anyone who's relatively new. So please go ahead.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. I was hoping we could discuss or comment on dosa, the right understanding of dosa. And I ask from personal experience of a lot of dosa today, but no dosa right now. So it's not a reality now. But as I was going through my day, I was experiencing a lot of dosa and knowing that, there wasn't much I could do about it, but it would be nice to have right understanding of dosa as I guess you would say, a cetasika, as something that arises based on conditions, something that I can't control, I can't make go away, and yet becomes this very powerful and seemingly difficult experience. So I hope that is clear.
Can we talk about dosa when dosa is not right now?
No. Now it's a story.
Yeah. So how can there be the...
But I wish I could have talked to you earlier.
So how can there be the understanding of dosa when dosa is not now appearing at all? But what about now appears? Is there any understanding of the truth of it in order just to understand anything? When there is the understanding of this moment. Otherwise, it's just like now, no understanding of what is there and wishing to understand that which is not there.
Yeah.
But if there's the understanding of the subtlety of the truth, the absolute truth of whatever is now, no one can imagine just one word out of the understanding, the panya of the Buddha. Is it easy to understand even what is there now appearing? For example, seeing. See, there's seeing right now appearing, no understanding of it, but wish to understand dosa. What is now and what is dosa? If there is the understanding of what is there now, just one moment at a time, when dosa is there, a moment, there can be understanding of dosa right then. So begin to understand what is meant of Dhamma, no one there at all, as long as it appears as something or someone. Is that the truth that we have heard about all Dhammas, all conditioned Dhammas, just arise and falls away instantly? No understanding of any reality right now. But when there is the beginning of considering whether what is heard about this moment or not, there can be a little more understanding. So there is seeing right now.
Yes.
When dosa is there, dosa is right then. But now, what is seeing in truth and absolute truth? Never heard about it in many, many lives or years and years ago. And now begin to attend to that which sees from hearing and considering. Is there anyone, to be truthful,
No.
really? Really? See, so the idea I'm seeing is so firm, very deeply rooted. Even
yes.
It's the word about seeing. It's conditioned just to arise to see and then gone. But now I see. Every time I see. So it takes time to consider the truth. until right understanding is so firm and firm confidence of the truth. To be truthful to the truth is Satya Barami. It means that as long it does not appear as it is at all, there must be I see and people and things. But in truth, can that which is seen in a moment be someone or something?
It's gone instantly.
And that is the very subtle absolute truth. That which sees is not known as it is. And that which is seen does not appear as it is. And this is the word of nimitta, of that which someone and something, because of the arising and falling away of whatever is now so rapidly. How many moments of seeing now? Unknown. It's gone one by one with the idea of something and someone and I all the time. That's why be truthful to the truth. It's the only way to understand deeper and deeper of that which is now as it is in just a moment or split moments in a moment. Is dosa right now? When dosa is there, is it the same as what is there now? Conditioned to arise, not to be seeing, but to be another characteristic of a reality. It has its own characteristic, its own function, and it's there by conditions. It's not me or mine or anyone. It's just a reality. Be truthful to the truth that no one can change that characteristic to be attachment or other reality at all. And then just arises and falls away, just like seeing now, but it's not seeing. It's at the beginning to understand dosa.
Yes.
Learn to understand what is there, little by little. When there is the understanding of the reality which arises and experiences an object, it's any moment in life, but it's not known. No thought about it from moment of birth up to now, when there's no thinking, considering about what is heard, about seeing at all. Impossible. That's why there is the different kinds of reality. Is there any understanding of seeing right now? Be truthful.
Yes.
Understanding the word or understand the nature of seeing, the characteristic of seeing, that it's not that which is seen. So when there's no understanding, it's no understanding. Is it a reality at moment of no understanding or not understanding? Is a reality?
To not understand, is that a reality?
Yeah. Because now
it must be.
see, learn to understand whatever in life, each moment is real. But it cannot be known because so many realities succeed one to another from moment to moment very rapidly. So how can there be the understanding of just one reality at a time to understand that even the moment of not understanding, seeing is real. It's there. And after hearing, there can be a little understanding, listen carefully, not heedless, to consider carefully. That's why there can be just the glimpse of understanding, seeing in words. And at moment of understanding, it's different from moment of no understanding at all. Whatever in life is so true by conditions. So the moment of no understanding, it is a reality. And we use the term avijja or moha. And at moment of understanding, it's different because it begins to attain to the reality and begin to know that it's there to be known. It can be known because it's so real and it's there. Is that ignorance or understanding?
understanding.
Different realities in life in a very short moment, arising and falling away. And the truth is much deeper than this when there's a little more understanding of the truth until it appears as it is. For example, now we're talking about seeing and ignorance and understanding and dosa. They are the reality which arise to experience an object. Otherwise, how can there be like or dislike, feeling, pleasant, unpleasant, without no experiencing of anything at all? But they are different. The one who sees the reality which arises to see, if it does not arise, can there be the word of sight?
No, chitta
No.
has to arise.
That's why we learn to understand a little more about different realities conditioned to arise only by its proper conditions. Because the eye base and that which can impinge on it cannot condition hearing. See?
Yeah.
Who one can manage it, can control it, can change.
No one there.
That is the beginning of the word. All dhammas, whatever is real, is anatta. All is all. So not just only this moment, which is anatta. Whatever is there is anatta. And each one is different by conditions. And now we are learning Dhamma, reality of life in each moment. It's not just a word, but now the word represents a reality. For example, the word seeing now, not hearing. So that thinking about seeing is thinking a reality. See,
yes.
We have to consider, is thinking seeing?
No.
Is that which experience a moment of that which impinges on it, and the other moment it arises to experience even that which does not impinge on any sense though at all. See, is this life? Is it this every moment? See, to understand that learning Dhamma is not just a word, it has to be moment of understanding Dhamma right now, one by one, little by little. Otherwise, we just read the words in Tipitaka. No understanding of the truth of the Dhamma itself, but just the story of Dhamma. So is that study Dhamma? Just read?
No.
See, so even the word study Dhamma in the beginning, first level, intellectual understanding about that which now arises and falls away in split second. And consider more about the truth. At moment of seeing right now, what appears?
Shape, color.
What is seen?
This moment. The eye base.
No. See,
What is seen, the object of seeing?
The object of seeing.
even you say object of seeing, what is it? It just not. Okay. And what is color?
Color is an idea. It's a concept. So
Really?
black. Your chair is black.
If we
Right.
don't use the color, is it seen?
Yes.
But need the word to represent what is seen, right? As color.
To talk about
The
it.
truth. When you say only color is seen, is there now only color is seen?
No.
See,
There's other things.
to understand how deep when it appears, one reality at a time, at moment of seeing is there, can color appear or light appear or sound appear? At moment of the reality which sees appear, can there be something or many things around appear too? See,
Yes.
this is studying Dhamma to
Mm.
understand the truth. Even intellectually, it's the begin to see how subtle each reality is there. Only realized by the one who has accumulated panya, so great enough to experience the truth. So now, the truth is in each moment, but it does not appear as it is, right?
Okay.
So thinking about when that which arises to experience appear, can there be anything appearing together?
No, one reality at a time.
It means that no one here at
Mm.
all, on the street or anywhere.
Mm.
Is it possible?
Be true to the truth.
Otherwise, why do we study about the truth, absolute truth, that it's so very deep and very subtle, beyond imagination?
Yes.
So now, does that which say appear?
Yes.
Yes. Or what appear?
Well, chitta arises with the object,
So what is citta?
the innermost, what cannot be known.
See, it seems like fully understanding of what is meant by the innermost, but thinking about the truth. There are so many objects seen. Where's the innermost? See,
Cannot be known.
in any moment, every moment. That's why it's so very inner. No, what appears is not that, which has no shape, no form, no sound, no smell at all. Only that when it appears, nothing can appear together. Imagine. No, nothing at all. No matter through what doorway. Only that is there. And that is true or not. It's there to be known. Doesn't mean that it's not there, just thinking about it. No, it's there even right now. That is the meaning of the innermost. Talking about anything from moment to moment, seeing, smelling, tasting. Where's the innermost? It's covered up by what is there, appearing as something all the time. That is the beginning of pariyatti, to be so skillful, so wise, to begin to understand the absolute truth as Dhamma, anatta.
Just for the benefit of those who came a bit late, Anne, Maeve, Robert, anyone else, Greg's original question was he wished to hear more about dosa. But the point is that, as he said, there's no dosa now. The dosa was earlier in the morning. So now it's just thinking about the story of dosa. What about the attachment now? What about the seeing now? So as Ajahn was stressing, the study of Dhamma is not in the book. It's not what happened earlier this morning. So the intellectual, the pariyatti understanding is about what appears now, what's arising now. And usually everyone would like to know more about dosa because it always arises with unpleasant feeling. So everyone would like to have no dosa. But what about the clinging? What about the clinging now to having less dosa, to wishing dosa away, to understand it, to get rid of it? So that's why the study of Dhamma always comes back to this very moment, because it's only what appears now that can be known.
Is it now time, while we are talking about other things, the time to consider the innermost? See, only the story about everything, but there must be the innermost there.
Just before you said the object covers up the innermost or something about, were you meaning the sense doors? We're always observing of the sense doors and forget about chitta. Is that basically what you say?
Is that the innermost now?
Yes.
See? And thinking about other things. And we're talking about the innermost. So it's covered up again and again and again.
But if naturally the sense doors, the objects are what seems to appear, we need to be aware of those too. Right?
No need. Just understand. Otherwise, nothing can letting go the idea of self at all. Always there, lurking in the corner. At moment of seeing, at moment of hearing, at moment of what is seen. That's why we learn to understand the subtlety of realities or dhammas are so very subtle, and have more confidence of no one. And in order to let go the idea of something or someone, what is the truth? For example, this moment that is seeing, no thought about seeing, but what is seen, even what is seen is not known as it is. How many moments of seeing and followed by thinking about that which is seen.
Sorry, just a moment.
Right. So you're bringing attention. You're explaining about the innermost, about chitta, and how normally the sense doors cover up the mind door in a sense, right?
The truth is that what appears now is there any gap? See,
No.
that is the rapidity of the succession of many processes of seeing, and the moment when it's not that which is seen, and then the mind or process just take what is experienced as seeing to be known as is there. In truth, it's just only follow the moment of experiencing seeing.
And this explanation, this description of reality.
In order to understand the truth,
yes,
to begin to understand one characteristic at a time, to understand that it cannot be as it is right now. There must be processes followed one another.
And this pariyati level of understanding, this leads naturally into patipati.
And if it's only understanding the word, not understanding the characteristic that what is real, there must be a reality which arises to experience the object, no matter when. See, forgotten about it. As soon as there is seeing, what is seen is the object of thinking and so on.
Mm-hmm.
No thought about that which arises and experience whatever is there, no matter through the sense door or not through the sense door, through the mind door, or not the object of six doorways at all. It has to arise. It's conditioned to just arise, and it's the chief of experiencing the object only. It's not dosa, it's not anything else, not anything else. So its function when it arises is just to experience the object clearer than the other mental factor or cetasika, as we know, arising together. But our jittas cannot perform the function of experiencing the object so clear But as soon as the object appears, as attachment is there. But attachment is that which experience the object so clear, because attachment experience the same object not as clear, but it experience the object not as citta, but its characteristic is arises to attach with ignorance, not understanding the absolute, that it's not there anymore. But through the sense though, it can arise too. That's why we learn little by little to understand that even the reality, which is the chief of experience, has different conditions to condition different moments. When one is fast asleep, no condition to see. But that which arises from birth keep on arising and falling away. No condition to see yet. So it experiences the object, which is not seeing, hearing, smelling at all. Even there at birth, it's there. Experience an object. That's why begin to understand a reality which arises to experience an object. Just don't talk about the object. Just talk about that reality which arises all the time from moment to moment by conditions. And when the condition is that which impinge on the ear base, it begins to know what is there, but not hearing yet. See how fast it is from moment to moment, arising to experiences the object each moment, but what the object is depending on condition for it to experience. And when the object's gone, it's there again, experience that which is not known. And then the mind will follow rapidly, understand the truth of it, not just the word. It's the unknown. That's why it is only intellectual understanding level. But the Buddha taught about the Four Noble Truths. And what about the Fourth Noble Truth? The very subtle path to let go or eradicate ignorance arising together with attachment and wrong understanding, never to arise again at all. So it's not just intellectual understanding which can eradicate the very deep ignorance with attachment, with wrong understanding at that level. Is it true? Only hearing the teachings, the very deep, very subtle truth. Is it true? To begin to have the firm confidence of the truth, Intl.Dhamma, nobody can change. And it's not just the intellectual understanding, it can be developed more and more to understand the different moments of intellectual understanding and direct understanding. And what is there? We can use the word, but the characteristic, when it does not arise, it does not appear. That's why we talk about sati. If there's not enough understanding of that which is there, not citta, not the chief of experiencing, not ignorance, not attachment. So what is sati? Learn to understand, and understanding develops on and on until panya is enough to condition satipatthana, the awareness of an object with understanding of the nature of it. Even right now, in between other moments, there can be moments of being aware, but it's not clear. It's not strong enough. That's why there are conditions for other objects to appear together until, see, another higher level, vipassana jhana. It does not appear like many things together, just one reality at a time, just like now. So depending on right understanding or ignorance of this moment, whether it's only that level of intellectual understanding, and sometimes someone with wrong understanding to try so hard to reach or to attain that stage. And that is wrong path. Because no understanding of the truth at that moment. That it's Dhamma, no one at all. Just one by one characteristic, different. By way of that which arises to experiences, or that which arises which cannot experience any object at all.
Very helpful, Ajahn. So this wrong path seems to me to be very easy to slip into, because we hear the truth of the Dhamma, the Abhidhamma, and we want to experience it directly. But there's no one there. There's no self. So it arises only by conditions. And the main condition is hearing the Dhamma, studying the Dhamma, considering the Dhamma.
By conditions.
But then sati and panya will arise to directly experience naturally, without...
Unexpectedly,
right.
Anatta begins to be known a little clearer of what is the Nam, is Anatta, closer and closer to this moment.
Even the hearing and considering is just a moment that's conditioned, because usually we have an idea of opening the book or coming to the foundation or discussing with a friend, but this is just all thinking about different stories. The true hearing, the true considering is just for a moment with understanding of reality.
I follow up the Ajahn express more about the one reality as a time. So can you elaborate a little bit more? Because
we can say that there are many realities,
right,
even at that time, but only one can be known as object.
It is because the citta only experience one reality at a time.
One citta arises to experience one object so clearer than the other mental factors, or the reality which experience the same object, but not the chief of experiencing.
Meaning the object mentioned here relate to the realities.
For example, now, one moment of seeing, what is seen?
Color. Visible object. Visible object meaning just single realities, right?
And we learn later more about what are there at moment of seeing, but it's not the object which appears. So one object appears at a time of a moment, in a moment, by citta only, which directly experience the characteristic of that object clearer than the other with mental factors which arise together, but it cannot experience the object as clear as citta, but it is attached, or it dislikes, or it feels, depending on each characteristic of different realities which experience the object. That's why sometimes we can count not just the 52 cetasika, but that which experience the object are 23, including citta.
53, 52 cetasikas and citta. And Gung, we can say that what is seen, we can say visible object or color or light, but when you mentioned it, you said, is that right? The point is, it's not the word or the term, it's just what is seen now, different from the impression of colors or shape or form, just what is seen. So at the moment of seeing, the seeing experiences that reality, what is visible clearly, but because the understanding isn't firm enough, that's why there's doubt. Is this visible object? Is that visible object? But it's just what is seen, different from any impression of colors and shapes and so on.
My point is about the function of the citta, that it can only experience single reality at a time.
Yes, seeing just sees what is visible, that rupa that is experienced, that is seen at that moment. And afterwards, if there is understanding, it's always nimitta of the reality, the visible object, the hardness, whatever appears, not one visible object, but many, many visible objects that have been seen, many, many moments of seeing arise and experience what is visible before that reality, the characteristic of that reality is known by way of nimitta, if it is known, because panya cannot arise with seeing, but it's always one reality that is experienced through a sense door process.
So say, because Ajahn sometimes say at the moment seeing appear to the panya, any other realities arise at the
I
same
don't
time.
think Ajahn says that. I think her point that she was stressing to Robert
before.
is usually the interest is in the object, the visible object, the sound, the hardness. Usually nothing is known about the citta. It's taken for my seeing, my hearing, my experience. And this is why we need to discuss and consider more about the citta, the reality that experiences the object very clearly, the foremost, the innermost reality. There needs to be more considering of this Dhamma, which arises at every moment in life, in order for the understanding of citta to begin to develop.
On the point of one object at a time, what about in higher vipassana jnana, like the conditions, the realities conditioned, and the comprehension of group? So at that moment, it's like it's very fast, so it can understand different moments consecutively. Is that right, Ajahn?
All conditioned realities appear by way of nimitta.
Yes.
No doubt. Or some doubt. Now, see, no understanding of seeing or hearing or thinking at all. That's why the sense door covers up the mind door.
Yes.
Because of the rapidity of the sense door. But the truth, the absolute truth, one process of sense door, one, and then mind door, many processes. So what is the truth? When the world appears, the world is a reality, only one at a time. Mm-hmm. And that which experiences the object does not shape, form, or smell, or anything at all. So as long as something is seen, the seen does not appear as the object because it sees. So remember that whatever appears as nimitta, nimitta of seeing now, nimitta of hearing, nimitta of hardness. That's why it's not clear, because so many realities or object appears, seems like together at once. But is it true? What is the absolute truth? What is the Ariya Satya? We learn to understand the truth, to let go the very fast accumulation of ignorance, attachment, and wrong understanding from eons and eons ago. That's why I study each word carefully. Dhamma, see, anatta, that which experiences and that which cannot experience. And in truth, only one moment, experience one object. And so how many moments now? What appears cannot appear without citta experiencing it. Uncountable moments. But there can be a little more understanding of that which is always hidden, no thought about it at all. The reality, which is the chief of experiencing object anytime when it arises. And what is meant by the chief, it means that there are other reality also experiences the object, but not as the chief. That's why even one word has to be carefully studied. What is the meaning of it? The chief. So it means that without that reality, nothing appears, no world at all. And that is only one world. Only that which is seen.
Even if it is the Vipassana Jnana understanding of, let's say, for four groups, the impermanence of reality, the arising and falling away of seeing, which is understood so clearly, it's still the nimitta of the characteristic of that reality of seeing, but understood more and more clearly until it is the direct understanding of the arising and falling away of that reality, because the understanding is so deep and clear. But it's still the nimitta, not one seeing, many seeings. That characteristic of the reality is understood firmly and clearly by way of the nimitta. And if it is the understanding of different realities which follow each other, it's still the nimitta of each one. For us, cannot imagine such higher understanding, such as the understanding of groups of realities arising together, different khandas of realities. But it's always the nimitta of the characteristic of reality, one at a time, that appears just deeper and deeper.
Yeah, and also not just one moment of understanding, but many different moments of understanding the different conditions of realities and the different the arising and passing away very fast of the different groups. So it has to be that way, by way of nimitta.
Whatever appears is by way of nimitta.
Yes, yes.
Even now.
I think that clarifies it.
I'm not sure if I follow, but by way of the nimitta is also related to single realities, nimitta of the single reality at a time, right? It is
the characteristic of one reality at a time, but there must have been many moments of seeing, for example, but it's the characteristic of seeing which is known by way of nimitta, or visible object, or sound, whatever the reality is. So it's the nimitta, not of one reality, but the characteristic of one reality, to be precise.
Similar to seeing or hearing, same, right? Cannot accompany with, say, sanya or the others to be object.
One reality.
Only one. That is also the characteristic of citta, how it functions to experience the object. Only one.
A moment of understanding of citta, for example, seeing, no thought about how does it function and what else arises with it and which process is it. It's just that characteristic of that reality which sees, just the citta itself, no thought about anything else.
So even realities arise together, only one appears at a time. But when the Buddha teaches us about how many cittasika arise together, that is very amazing, right? That the Buddha comes to know, even they appear only one at a time, that they has to arise together, and how many at each moment.
Everything to do with the Buddha's wisdom is amazing.
To point to why it's always an nimitta. Sorry. So obviously it must be a nimitta because Panya can't and Sati can't know seeing directly because it's a different moment. So it's the nimitta of the past scene that's just fallen away. So we see it must be a nimitta. So the Sati is and the Panya are understanding that just fallen away. So they contact the nimitta. putting that.
Impressed about sometime Ajahn mentioned one word at a time. Now it's one reality at a time to be experienced. And very,
One word means one reality.
yeah.
If we're talking about ignorance, let's not talk about seeing. If we're talking about seeing, or citta as innermost, let's discuss this topic, because sometimes when people raise questions, like we had one or two examples, and there are 10 topics, when actually not even one is understood. So
yeah, and also relate to the no one at all. Yeah, now I feel a little bit realized non-self about the one at a time. I have a
so we may say, oh, citta, and Ajah's been talking about it, and the listener may say, oh, got that, and then on to the next topic.
Right.
But is there really enough considering?
Right. And one point that when understand their citta straight, can you elaborate a little bit? Tức là tâm thẳng là gì? Em thấy trong kinh có nói cái đoạn đấy.
The truthfulness of the citta, one of the 6 pairs of all the Sobhana Chittasikas. Đúng không?
Yeah, đúng rồi. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Ujatika or something.
Yeah. Utu Chitta.
Actually, I'm not just refer to that's, but in one sutta that with the understanding that citta is straight. Tôi có bài kinh, có cái bài kinh này nói vậy nè chị này. Người trí làm tâm ngay thẳng này.
I think he mentions about one of the verses in the sutta where it says that the wise person makes the citta straight, like straightening the view, for example, in that sense, I think.
So I think that we're mixing up different words and different terms. This is more than one at a time. So straightening the view is the development of understanding. And when there is understanding, then all the Sobhana Chaitasikas, such as the one you mentioned, are there. No need to look for it or find it. So the straightening of the view refers to understanding, like now.
Yeah. Sorry, I just thinking that citta that have a characteristic of straight. Yeah, I wrong understand about that point. Yeah.
The citta, so the citta, it's just experiencing the object. It's the panya that is straightening the view.
Good. Do you have a reference?
I don't know that it's the Citta. I just thinking that it's the somehow the citta at that moment straight. I think that the characteristic. The reference here is in chị cái này là cái tiểu bộ ăn vậy đúng rồi. Yeah. Em không biết mấy cái này.
Nhưng mà em phải đọc kỹ trước khi em hỏi chứ không rõ câu hỏi của em.
Không, em hiểu câu hỏi.
Xong rồi.
Later, I think, yes, later. Because
cho anh hỏi cái đoạn nào.
Vincent has.
Hi, Craig. It's Vincent. Nice to meet you. I would like to get back to the dosa. 2 quick comments. No, it's okay. The first comment is as long as we still take what is not beautiful as beautiful, then the dosa will have condition to arise. So pretty much we all have it anyway. And the second comment is you said there's no dosa now. Do you think we can help you to have it?
I hope not.
Right. The true condition for dosa to arise is not really outside, right?
The condition's not present now.
Right.
Thank you.
What about your question, Vincent? You have a topic too.
That's not really so critical though.
It's related to nimitta. Carry on.
Right. The question is related to nimitta. Say, if we remember a taste now, a taste we had yesterday, the object of the remembering now, of the chitta now, is that the taste nimitta or the panya that mark the taste at that time. The sanya marked the taste yesterday, right? When that taste happened, and the taste nimitta, and then sanya marked the taste. Now we remember the taste. Now the object of remembering is that the taste nimitta or the sanya that mark, the sanya nimitta that mark the taste.
I just a guess. I would say it's thinking, and it's not the nimitta of a reality. If it's from yesterday, that would be my guess. The nimitta of a reality is something much more present. It's just something that's just fallen away, I would say, rather than that.
Nimitta of the concept of taste, and the sanya is arising at each moment, experiencing that idea, that impression, that nimitta. So the sanya is not the object, it's the idea of taste that is the object. There can be thinking about the memory, but then it would be the idea about the memory. But in the example of thinking about that taste that was experienced yesterday, the object is the idea of the taste.
Okay,
and
let's say,
as Jan was saying the other day, it's always nimitta.
right, it's always nimitta, but nimitta
The
of
world
what?
of nimitta,
Right.
nimitta of the impression about the taste, the idea about the taste experience. Like in Greg's example, there's no dosa now, so it's the idea about the dosa. So it's the nimitta of the idea about the dosa that occurred earlier, not the reality, as Robert said, because the reality has long since passed away.
But okay. But when the remembering of the taste or the taste is so strong, it can even condition like watering. You want so delicious or so sour.
Is
It
it
can still have effect when there's a remembering of the taste.
Is it the taste or the remembering of the taste?
It's the remembering of the
taste.
taste.
If
Right.
there was no remembering of it, there would be no thinking about the delicious taste.
But there must be a strong relation to that particular taste remembered. Otherwise, it would not.
Can I add a comment, please?
Yes.
You're asking about taste in particular and the mouth watering, but the answer to the question has to be the same, whatever the doorway. So it's the same question as when remembering something seen yesterday. Is it the
right?
Yeah. So whether it's taste, sight, sound, body sense, whatever, the answer's the same.
Yes. But say bodily, like bodily dukkha or sukha can be very strong and it's remembered as so impressive. And
I mean, there's also the accumulated tendency towards that particular object. So when there's memory of that object, the same accumulated tendency makes that chitta with lobha arise, and then other rupa conditioned by that chitta, like you call watering or something like that.
Mm-hmm. So it's not a taste nimitta that is remembered.
We were talking about that a couple of days ago, about there's the nimitta of reality, and then there's panyati that thinks about it after that initial experience. So you start thinking, oh, there's Sarah, there's Vincent, there's a cup, and that's all panyati. So what I would say you're talking about now is panyati from a few days ago, and you're considering the panyati. So it's not the nimitta of reality, though. It's not the direct nimitta of reality. Yeah.
Because it's not the reality itself, it's just an idea now. So it's the story of reality. And that's why, just like with the example of dosa, what's the point of talking about the dosa or the taste long ago? But you said, why that particular taste? If it's the aramana adipati, the one that there's particular attachment, keep thinking about the taste of mango or taste of chili, the one that there's strong clinging to, but it's just the idea, the story about that taste, about the dosa, about the particular object that one keeps obsessively thinking about because of the strong attachment, but it's not the reality. So it's just the idea, the concept, the nimitta of the concept. And Anne has wants to also ask something about nimitta too. Go ahead, Anne.
Your microphone, Anne.
Hello,
Anne?
sorry. I'd like to talk about the citta that experiences and the understanding of that. When, let's take seeing as an example, when seeing appears to panya, it would be the nimitta of seeing. But now I'm getting myself confused. So when that occurs, then, so the nimitta, sorry, the experiencing of, my goodness, I just lost something.
Can I just say something that might help?
Yes.
When there's awareness and understanding of the seeing, it's the understanding of a citta, right?
Yes.
Not of the object, not of the
Correct.
visible object.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So I think what I was trying to say is that when there is when the nimitta of seeing appears as object, well, I guess I'm trying to sort out what the process is. Would the nimitta of seeing appear as the object of the object of panya, the citta accompanied by panya?
Panya knows.
Panya knows,
the consciousness, the seeing consciousness, citta, several
Right.
moments of that.
Right. So there would be the nimitta of seeing that
Right.
panya would know.
Right. The nimitta of the seeing consciousness, the citta.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Nimitta of the citta, the citta that sees, the seeing consciousness. That's right.
Right.
And earlier, I hope I'm remembering this correctly, but and I think it was a John, but it may have been Sarah or you, Jonathan, talked about. We do, I think, there's a lot of focusing on object, and which is why it's so important to be talking about citta. But is that it sounds as if the seeing consciousness would be less frequently the object of panya, and I know that's guessing at something that, and it's going to depend on conditions. But the impression I had was that it is less likely, nor less frequently, that there could be understanding Panya understanding the seeing consciousness. More frequently would be the understanding of a sense door object. Or did I interpret that wrong?
I think this is why the emphasis is on citta and why Ajahn was asking Greg, does seeing appear now? And a couple of times he said yes. And she said, truthfully, does it really appear now? Yeah. So no one can tell anyone else, but truthfully, does seeing appear now? So it depends on Panya. But
yeah.
And sometimes people say, oh, it's just recently Ajahn has been emphasizing on citta. But I remember Ajahn asking Robert the same question when we were in Vietnam one time and we were having a discussion, because we think a lot about the object, but what about the citta now? Does it appear now? Same question.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that from the past as well. My sense is we're going into it in much more detail, more specifically, and focusing more on it. But regardless, it's not to be forgotten.
And I think yesterday we were reminding ourselves that when Ajahn emphasizes these things, it's only as a reminder, not as something to be paid more attention to, but just as a reminder that these are among the Dhammas that are arising at the present moment.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I appreciate it happening like this. Thank you. I think that's the end of my question.
At the moment of seeing see the visible object. After seeing, the moment of thinking about that. So the nimitta of seeing disappear with the seeing, or still exist at the moment of thinking.
Say it again, please.
At the moment of seeing, after the seeing is thinking about what is seen. And at the moment of thinking, are there the nimitta of seeing still exist or already disappear with the seeing?
You are talking about the truth of this moment, right? Now,
this moment,
see,
let's say.
That's why there cannot be the understanding of the truth of what is there so easily at all. That's why we learn to understand the subtlety of all kinds of realities, to understand what's meant by the Buddha and the Dhamma, the realization of the truth. Otherwise, what we think that citta can appear as the object, but without clear understanding of the truth of it, impossible, because citta is there now. It does not appear to ignorance at all. No matter how long we talk about it. That's why just understanding roughly or in the beginning, it experiences what is seen. Is that enough? Just that which now sees. We have to be more careful. That which is now sees, the object is seen. That's why we talk about the reality which experiences an object all the time. To understand that at every moment, the condition for that which experiences an object to see, to experience that which impinges on the eye base. But how to understand clearly the difference between the object which appears or the reality which experiences it. There is a reality by conditions from birth to death and on in each life, in one's life and this life. But if we just say that it experiences an object, but the object still appears, even we have that idea that it experiences the object, but the object appears. Never that which experience appear without understanding so skillful of intellectual understanding, even at that stage. It has to know that when we talk about seeing, because the object appears, right? But when the object does not appear, that is the pure, the nature of that, which just arises and experience no matter what object is. Whether the object is known or unknown, it's there. So in order to understand the true nature of that, at that moment, no minding about the object as usual as right now, right? Because it's still there, object of attention to be something seen and on and on and on. What about that which just arise and experience? Never mind to talk about that which is seen at all. In order to understand the true nature of that reality, which arises and experience. So no matter its moment of seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, liking, continue on talking about the nimitta and so on, it's there. Not that which we have talked about at all. It's just that which arises and experience deeply, innermost, all the time. That's why understanding that when there is enough understanding of the nature of citta, it still depends on whether it appears or not. Even it appears, no understanding. For example, at moment of sleeping, no doorway appears to be known, but citta is there. So in order to understand that nature, that no matter the object appears or not, it's only that which experiences the object. In order to understand when time comes, when right understanding is sharp enough by conditions to experience the object, clearly it has to be vipassana jnana. Because citta appears as no object appear together. Because at that moment, right understanding that which is there, no shape, no form, just it's there. Do you have to think that it experiences an object or not? Because it's there to be known that when it appears, nothing can appear together at all, even thinking about it. And if panya is not enough, even it's there now, between the processes, or sometimes more processes than the moment when it arises in between processes. It's not known, not enough understanding. And when there is some understanding of it, it can be a moment of thinking about that which hasn't been thought, that it's that which experience, because it's there. As the moment when one wakes up, there can be thinking or hearing, but before that, it's that which does not see or hear. It's just there. Who knows that it's there if it does not appear as the object of understanding? Even it's there now. That's why learning to understand that even pariyatti has to be so very skillful. Otherwise, there cannot be the moment of understanding what is there now as it is. So what can be known? It's only when it's there now. Even citta, we talk about it, but it does not appear, it cannot appear to ignorance or just learning by word that it's there. That's not enough. That's why this is the way to let go ignorance and attachment at moment of understanding the subtlety of all realities. That is beyond thinking about it, but it can be studied from consider the truth of each word, even Dhamma, see, different ones, the citta and citasikas, understand the difference. And whatever is there, if it's not enough understanding, there must be thinking about it, not moment of beginning to attend to understand the characteristic which We have heard. We just talk about whether it arises or not by such and such condition, situation, on and on, thinking that it is the understanding of the reality or the conditions for whatever arises, but not understanding the truth of the absolute reality. Even attachment is there. It's attached. Everyone knows I like it. How much? Very little or very, very much. But no understanding of the truth. That it's just a reality and it can be learned to understand it as a reality, to have it appear just only one reality. So when the object appears clearly, it has to be one at a time, beginning from moment of direct awareness of a reality right now, and know that it's different from just hearing about awareness. When there's no awareness, no condition for awareness to arise. And when awareness does not arise, how can there be the understanding of the characteristic of sati if sati does not arise? So what we are talking about, to have firm confidence of the subtlety of all dhammas, to understand that even now, anytime, just live in the world of nimitta, no one there at all. Nimitta of conditioned realities arising and falling away. As long as there's birth, there must be death, depending on condition, and so on. Begin to understand the truth of the absolute realities, that it's there all the time, unknown. Because now, any moment, living in the world of nimitta, but nimitta of the realities arising and falling away, no one, until right understanding is strong enough, stage by stage, to begin to understand that actually what is meant by no I and no thing is every moment. Because the succession of whatever arises and falls away so very rapidly, it conditions the world of nimitta. So each moment, it's the world of nimitta. Beginning to let go the idea of self from at moment of understanding a little more, because right understanding itself works its way until understanding instantly what is there, whether it's the hindrance to understand the truth, because the idea of self is still there. The self is there at moment of ignorance, very deeply, of whatever is there appearing, the five khandhas. And now we just talk about one khandha, citta and rupa. And we continue on and on to let go the idea of I, from hearing, considering, even at level of intellectual understanding, and understand the difference between the intellectual understanding and direct understanding, on how much understanding of the truth can be known when right understanding is there. So now it's not vipassana jnana, right? But there can be vipassana jnana when there are conditions for that moment to arise unexpectedly. No doubt about what is there, because it experiences so clear of the difference between each reality as that now we are talking about. So the world does not appear as right now, the nimitta, world of nimitta. Even the object which is known, even at any level of vipassana jnana, must be nimitta, because the rapidity of the succession, nothing can appear different from now, but right understanding, which understand clearer and sharper, can understand what level it is and what is meant by yata parinya. See, tirana parinya. It's not now because it is parinya. And it has to be after vipassana jnana to be parinya, to continue on. Because the moment of whatever appears so short, not enough. comparing to the accumulation of wrong understanding and clinging, ready to ooze when time comes. Right now, unknown. So having such understanding, it let go attachment and ignorance to try to do something or to have whatever at will, to be very sharp understanding of reality and understand the difference so closely, a little clearer. It's so very subtle, even what we are talking about. Only that which can be thought about, but not to directly understand each reality which is there anytime. As long as there are conditions for whatever arise after death, it has to arise by condition, non-stop, until no condition to arise. It cannot arise. So what we are talking about now is so useful to understand the subtlety, to let go, that it's not just the story about it, but to understand why only citta can be explained in different aspects by way of the innermost and the ayatanas and the dhatu and the ariyasatya. Just the truth of one characteristic of a reality. Like citta, it's not anything else at all. And what is meant by that which has no shape, no form, or anything at all, the attachment which arises together with citta, which experience the object of attachment. That's attachment, no citta. See, one reality, one object at a time. It has its own characteristic, particular characteristic, particular function. No one can perform the function of the other at all. Anytime attachment is there, it clings. Even if so very slight, it's there, unknown. That is now, that is clinging, unknown.
Ajahn, is it because citta is so much more subtle than the objects that are experienced?
All dhammas are subtle, but no thought about citta.
Right.
But we think about what is seeing, sound and story and so on.
Well, that's why I think that the object is more gross than, it's got more characteristic
and
than
what
citta.
About hardness? Is it not subtle? But it cannot experience the object, that's all. But is it known as it is, as no one and no thing? Yeah.
No, generally it is something, a chair or table.
So it's not rupa, it's something.
It's something, right.
Also, could I add, Azita, that when you talk about the object, you're referring to, of course, the sense door object. But most of the object of citta is concept in a day. So relatively few moments are moments of sense door object, of citta experiencing sense door object. But all those other jittas of processing the sense door objects that are experienced and the thinking that is not associated at all with any presently occurring sense door object is there. So, and the object of the citta is concept.
And
so,
that's but still that object coming to the sense door seems to me to be more gross than just the thinking about it.
Now,
that's a conventional concept of gross, right?
Well, if you say so.
No, I'm just wanting to.
Well,
I know,
I'm
Ajahn,
not sure. I don't know.
The significance. What's the significance of that, though, if the awareness and understanding is conditioned and arises to take an object of the object by virtue of those conditions rather than an object of one's own that one thinks might or should be the object of the awareness if it arises.
Well, thank you for pointing it out, because I think, yes, I was just taking sense door object and jitta that experiences it, rather than, as you point out, there's a lot more concepts going on when we get to mind door. You know, that object of that jitta at the sense door is very much less than the thinking about, you know, the nimitta and then the concept. So I think
what I'm raising is the relevance of, anyway, of relative, what's the term we're using? About the sense or object, you're saying it's more
gross. I call gross.
The relative grossness or subtleness of the different realities. When we are told that it is awareness and understanding that, if you like, decides what's going to be the object anyway, and that depends on past accumulations and so forth, and what conditions the awareness to arise this particular kind, rather than our idea of whether the object is gross or subtle.
The example Vincent gave before about thinking about the delicious taste, or Greg's example about the dosa, when thinking and absorbed in that story about the taste or the dosa, it seems so real. This is what is meant by sense doors covering up the mind door, but actually it's just all thinking about that idea. So there can be understanding of thinking, the citta at those moments, but the taste, the dosa, they've long gone. So it's time for understanding what is real at that moment, or this moment, or any moment. I just want to mention to everyone that this morning in Australia, Jonathan had a kind of quite serious hospital procedure and was there for many hours, leaving many hours ago, and straight back home. No breakfast, no lunch, no rest, straight into the Dhamma discussion. And Ajahn whispered to me, made a comment that no one can hinder understanding when it's time. And it's kind of a good comment, because we think about what can we do, and is there not enough understanding, and this, but when it's time for right considering or right hearing or right understanding, then it cannot be made to be arised, and it cannot be stopped from arising. So well done, Jay. Very impressive.
Well, I had to fast before the procedure. Fortunately, there was no sedation, just local anesthetic. So that's why there's no recovery is easy. But I did, Azita will appreciate this, I had tea and sandwiches for my recovery breakfast. Good cup of tea and a sandwich.
Vincent, because Ajahn didn't make any comment on, was there anything not clear, or because you seem to think perhaps it was sanya that was the object, or anything else that wasn't clear that you would like Ajahn's comment on?
I think it's not totally clear to me, because somehow the sanya that mark the taste at that moment is still related to the recalling or remember the taste. Otherwise, it would not have such a strong effect. For example, some lady, when they give birth, the pain they experience, the pain marked, that cannot be just imagined thinking by mouth. So that moment, that mark, the sanya that mark the reality, vedana or the taste, has to be there, right, at the moment of remembering that.
It's accumulated, but let Ajahn add.
At moment of talking about sanya, is there any understanding of sanya?
Only word.
When will it be?
When it's the object.
By thinking a
appear
lot.
to.
By thinking a lot about sanya of this and that, the story.
Has to be Yoniso Manasikara.
What about understanding one reality a little more closer to the truth? Because now we don't have to say that it's sanya, but who's who? Chitta experience it, but to know who's who and what is there. It's a reality, right?
Right.
It's there with chitta, no matter chitta experience what object. And sanya cannot be chitta. It cannot perform the function of chitta, and chitta cannot perform the function of sanya.
No.
Each one has its own characteristic. So each moment of experiencing, sanya marks and remember the object which is experienced. We don't have to think that I see this and then I remember the light here, blue, and so on. It doesn't matter because it's there as sanya.
Right.
Marks and remember by conditions.
Right.
In order to understand sanya anytime by conditions.
Do we say sanya is also the nimitta maker?
Whatever is conditioned to arise appear as nimitta. See, nimitta of this and this.
Yes.
One moment, a different moment.
Okay.
I'm not sure if the nimitta in the sense of nimitta maker is the same meaning as what we are talking about as the nimitta of the conditioned reality which arises and falls away, because we know that the function of sanya is to mark the object, and mark here is the term nimitta, or when it talks about sanya marking the object, it uses nimitta for that purpose. And so I think nimitta maker is to be understood in that context.
If there wasn't sanya marking what's heard, what's thought about now, there wouldn't be the remembrance later of what is being heard. So it accumulates that it's the object experienced by sanya with citta is not forgotten because of the sanya remembering what has been experienced, so that sanya can condition thinking to think about what is experienced again and again. At lunchtime, there can be thinking about the topic of conversation because sanya has marked the object at each moment.
Right. We talk about sanya can mark and also remember, right? So mark at the moment of experiencing the object and then remember later on.
Mark and remember at each moment.
At each moment. But now there's a remembering of the taste yesterday.
Yes.
The recall of the nimitta maker. Recall of that taste nimitta or the sanya nimitta at that moment.
Whatever it's called, it is the marking and remembering of what was experienced, and it's marking the present idea. And that idea seems so real, but it's just an idea of taste, an idea of nimitta maker, an idea of sanya. So it's the thinking which is the reality now to be known.
So it's a mirage. Yeah.
It's a mirage. The thinking is real now. The sanya that experiences the object is real, but all the ideas are just the fantasies, the dreams.
Right. And Vincent, what is the significance, as you see it, of this fine point here that you're pursuing?
Not really, just not much significance. No.
We may pause now and continue this afternoon, 1:30 our time. have a good rest, Jay, and everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
All the best to you, Jay.
Thanks, Anne.
Yes. Good to see you, Jonathan.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, nice to see you.